next topic is the mediastinal surface of lungs. So we need to know the mediastinal surface of both right lung and left lung. So if we see the regional anatomy of right lung and left lung mediastinal surface, the right lung mediastinal surface is over here and the left lung mediastinal surface is over here, which is medial surface or the mediastinal surface, one and the same. The right lung mediastinal surface is more related to the venous structures along with the impressions of vertical structures like esophagus and trachea, but we need to remember that the more venous structures like superior vena cava, inferior vena cava and brachiocephalic vein, these venous structures are more related to right-sided mediastinal region. Left-sided mediastinal region are more related to arterial structures like descending thoracic aorta, brachiocephalic artery, etc. So this regional anatomy of the mediastinum can be used to remember and to study the mediastinal surface of the lungs. So here this is the mediastinal surface of lungs. This is the right lung mediastinal surface and this is the anterior relation of the right lung. This is the posterior relation of the right lung. Both the lungs have a hilum or a connecting stalk, otherwise called as, through which the major vessels like pulmonary artery, vein and the bronchi will enter each lung. This is called as hilum of the lung. So this is the anterior relation, this is the posterior relation of this right lung. First we'll see the structure of right-sided hilum or hilum of the right lung. So when we see into the structure of hilum of the right lung, the structures are arranged in such a way that superior to inferiorly, the first one is the eparterial bronchus. That is a bronchus which is above artery, that is pulmonary artery. That is called as eparterial bronchus. Number 2, just below the eparterial bronchus, obviously there will be the artery. So the blue color one which carries deoxygenated blood is a pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery carries deoxygenated blood from the heart. So this is pulmonary artery. So another bronchi just below this pulmonary artery, this bronchi is called as hyparterial bronchus. Hyparterial, that is below artery, below pulmonary artery, hence it is called as hyparterial bronchus. And finally, the lowermost structure is the lower pulmonary vein. These are the structures related from superior to inferiorly in the hilum of the lung, and anterior to posteriorly, if we want to see the relation of these structures anterior to posteriorly, antermost structure is the red color one which is carrying oxygenated blood, that is pulmonary vein. Obviously pulmonary vein, after that posteriorly there is blue color structure which is an deoxygenated blood carrying pulmonary artery. So this is a pulmonary artery. After pulmonary artery, there are two bronchi, that is eparterial, hyparterial bronchus. So bronchus. So anterior to posterior relations in the hilum. This is regarding the hilum of right lung. Hilum of right lung. Very important 2 marks question. Yeah. And very important anatomical relation too. And if we talk about the left lung, so here this is the anterior surface and this is a posterior surface of the left lung. So superior to inferiorly, the hilum of the left lung relations. Hilum of the left lung has superiorly the blue color one, middle the bronchi, and inferiorly the red color one. That is superiorly here there is deoxygenated blood carrying pulmonary artery. There is left pulmonary artery, followed by the bronchi, eparterial, hyparterial bronchi. Third one, inferiorly the lower pulmonary vein, the superior to inferior relations. Yeah, this is regarding the hilum of left lung and right lung, which are mediastinal surface relations only. Other than hilum of the lung, we also should know other structure impressions, other mediastinal structures impressions on the mediastinal surfaces of both right lung and left lung. So here, this is the right lung, we finished about the hilum. Now we are seeing other structures. Right lung, and this is the anterior surface and this is the posterior surface. Posterior costal surface, anterior costal surface. Now if we keenly observe over here, this is the impression. This is the impression for heart. This is the impression for heart. So this is called as cardiac impression or impression for heart. So this is called as cardiac impression, number 1, on the mediastinal surface of right lung. Yeah, from the cardiac impression, there arises two structures obviously from heart, superior vena cava and inferior vena cava for the right side, because right sided mediastinal surface is more related for venous structures. Therefore, this structure is a superior vena cava and its branch called as brachiocephalic vein. The superior vena cava and brachiocephalic vein, they are the SVC, superior vena cava, and this one above that one, its branch of superior vena cava called as brachiocephalic vein. Similarly, inferiorly from the heart, there arises another venous structure called as inferior vena cava. So this structure, this is the impression for inferior vena cava. This is the impression for inferior vena cava or IVC. So as we already discussed, the right lung mediastinal surface is more related to venous structures. That's why we have cardiac impression, just above cardiac impression, superior vena cava impression, and then above superior vena cava, this is a groove for brachiocephalic vein. Below heart, there is groove for inferior vena cava. These are some important venous structures, and another venous structure you need to know is the azygous vein. So here is the azygous vein connection. Azygous vein and hemiazygous vein forms the contents of posterior mediastinum. So they drain into the superior vena cava. So their impression is present over here on the mediastinal surface of the lung. This is the impression or groove, whatever it may be, for what? Azygous vein. So venous structures anni kuda we did completed all the venous structures. Other than these venous structures, some special structures like groove for trachea. This is the groove for trachea. Obviously it is anterior, it is more anterior. Just behind trachea, this is a groove for trachea. Just behind trachea there will be esophagus. Therefore, just behind trachea there is another groove. This groove is groove for esophagus, which continues downwards. So this is a groove for esophagus, and this is also groove for esophagus. Groove or impression of esophagus, whatever it may be. So mainly these are the very important structures on the mediastinal surface of the right lung, more than enough. And if we observe over here keenly, there is a ligament like structure over here. Yeah, there is a ligament like structure over here arising from the hilum of the lung. Yeah, this ligament like structure which is arising from the hilum of the lung is called as pulmonary ligament. So the importance of pulmonary ligament is present on both right and left lungs, and it arises from the hilum of the lung inferiorly. And this so-called pulmonary ligament does not have any contents. Yeah, pulmonary ligament does not have any contents. What is the function of the? It has no contents. Then what is the importance of this pulmonary ligament is, this pulmonary ligament gives space for, what is the structure above, what was the structure near this pulmonary ligament? That is pulmonary vein. So pulmonary vein to contract and relax, or to expand, to allow the expansion of pulmonary vein whenever there is increased blood flow. Yeah, it gives space for expansion of pulmonary vein, simply. Yeah, so this is about the mediastinal surface of right lung. Then what about left lung? Very simple. Left lung is, if you see in this diagram, left lung is more related to what? Arterial structures like thoracic aorta, brachiocephalic artery, other arteries. But right lung, one small thing over here, this is the impression for, you can see the red structure over here. Yeah. So this apical region has an impression for this brachiocephalic trunk giving rise to carotid artery, and this one is subclavian artery. So there is an impression for subclavian artery also on the right lung. Subclavian artery. Which subclavian? Right subclavian artery. Another extra impression. Okay, yeah. Next, what about the left lung? So if we see here the left lung mediastinal surface, if you see the left lung mediastinal surface, so this is the anterior surface of the left lung and this is the posterior surface of the left lung. We already discussed regarding the hilum. There is a difference between the hilum relations or in both right and left lung. The other structures, when we talk about other structures, as we already discussed, there will be the groove for there will be this groove. Yeah, there will be a groove over here. For what? This is a groove for arch of aorta. Arterial structures. Na? So arch of aorta ki we will have a groove for arch of aorta, and for descending thoracic aorta, for descending thoracic aorta, descending thoracic aorta, we will have a groove. Other than these things, we will also have groove for other arterial structures, like this is the groove for subclavian vein. It's a groove for subclavian vein. Yeah, this is a groove for subclavian vein, which is directly arising from which subclavian vein? Left subclavian vein. Therefore, it is directly arising from arch of aorta. And next, we also have impression for the vertical structures called as trachea and esophagus anteroposteriorly. So, is that impression for both trachea, esophagus. There is also impression for trachea and esophagus. Yeah. Other than these things, what else we can see? Impressions. So we can also see the impressions for, yeah, this main impression. Yeah, this main impression is the impression, cardiac impression of heart, cardiac impression on the left side, impression. And just behind the cardiac impression on the left side, we'll also have, there is a groove for esophagus which continues downwards. Is the groove for esophagus. That is in the lower part. In the upper part, there is groove for esophagus and trachea very nearby each other, near to each other. Yeah. Other than these, what else? Yeah. Similarly, as there is one arterial groove over there, like right subclavian artery. Here also, we also have a venous groove for a left subclavian vein. Left brachiocephalic vein. And other than this, again here also there is a pulmonary ligament which is arising from the hilum, which doesn't have any contents. The main function is provide space for expansion of pulmonary vein. That's it. This is more than enough for the mediastinal surface of left lung.